The palace was very quiet that morning. Too quiet. The golden sun came to the big windows of Ashford Palace, and it made long shadows on the marble floor. The guards stood in their places, wearing their blue uniforms with gold buttons that shine like stars. But nobody was smiling. Nobody looked happy. Inside the palace walls, something sad was happening. Something that nobody in the kingdom was supposed to know about. Queen Elena sat alone in her private room. This was her special place where no one could see her. The walls were painted soft pink, and there were many books on the shelves. Pictures of her children hung on the walls. She looked at these pictures for a long time. Her hands were shaking. On her lap, she held an old brown envelope. Inside this envelope was a letter that changed everything. Her husband, King Marcus, did not know that she had found this letter. He did not know that she had discovered his biggest secret. Queen Elena read the letter one more time. The words hurt her heart. Tears came to her eyes as she read each word slowly. The letter was from many years ago. It was about something that happened before she married the king. Something that nobody knew about. Something that the king had hidden for so long. The letter said that King Marcus had a daughter. A child that nobody in the kingdom knew about. A child that lived far away in another place. A child that the king had never told anyone about. Not even Queen Elena. Queen Elena felt confused and sad at the same time. She sat very still and tried to understand what this meant. She thought about their marriage. They had been married for 20 years. They had 3 children together. They had lived as a happy family. Or so she thought. But now, everything felt like a lie. Downstairs in the palace, King Marcus was meeting with his advisors. These were important men who helped him make decisions for the kingdom. They sat around a big wooden table and talked about many things. Money, laws, and problems in the country. But the king was not listening carefully. He looked worried. He looked like he was thinking about something else. Something very serious. One of the advisors, a man named Lord Frederick, noticed that the king was not paying attention. "Your Majesty," Lord Frederick said, "are you feeling well? You seem very tired today." King Marcus looked up quickly. Yes, I am fine," he said, but his voice was not strong. "I just did not sleep well last night." This was a lie. The king had not slept well because he was afraid. He was afraid that someone would find out about his secret. Every night, he worried about this. Every day, he worried about this. The secret was like a heavy weight that he carried on his shoulders. The king thought about his daughter far away. He thought about the letters that he received from her, letters that nobody else was supposed to see. He thought about the money that he sent to her every month, money that he told his accountants was for special charities. But it was not for charities. It was for his daughter, his secret daughter. The king had never told anyone about her, not his friends, not his family, not his advisors. Nobody knew. He was too afraid. He was afraid that people would think badly of him. He was afraid that the people of the kingdom would not respect him any more if they knew. So he kept the secret locked in his heart. Meanwhile, somewhere in the palace, there was a young guard named Sir Thomas. He was only 25 years old. He was tall and strong, and he was very good at his job. Sir Thomas was one of the king's personal guards. This meant he was very close to the king. He saw the king every day. But Sir Thomas had noticed something strange. He had seen the king talking to the palace messenger in secret places. He had seen the king's worried face. He had seen the king receiving letters that made him look sad and scared. Sir Thomas was a good person. He was loyal to the king. But he was also confused. He knew that something was wrong. Something was happening in the palace that was not right. One day, Sir Thomas was walking to the palace hallway. He was doing his regular job, making sure that everything was safe. He walked past Queen Elena's private room. The door was open, and he could see the queen sitting alone. She was holding an old envelope, and tears were coming down her face. Sir Thomas felt very sad when he saw this. The queen was a kind woman. She had always been nice to him. She did not deserve to be sad. Sir Thomas did not know what was happening. He did not know about the secret daughter. He did not know about the hidden letter. But he knew that something very bad had happened. He could feel it in the air. The palace did not feel like a happy place anymore. That night, Sir Thomas could not sleep. He thought about Queen Elena's sad face. He thought about the king's worried face. He thought about all the strange things he had seen. The next morning, something very shocking happened. Queen Elena called a meeting. She told the king that they needed to talk. She told him that she had found something. Her voice was strong and serious. Her eyes were red from crying, but they were also full of anger. The king's face became very pale. He knew that she had found out about his secret. Everything was about to change. The secret that the king had kept hidden for so many years was finally coming out into the light. The palace would never be the same again. The king's private study was a large room at the top of the palace. The walls were dark wood. There were books everywhere. A big desk sat in the middle of the room. This was where King Marcus made important decisions for his kingdom. But today, he was not thinking about the kingdom. He was thinking about his wife. Queen Elena walked into the room. She closed the door very slowly behind her. The sound of the door closing was loud in the quiet room. King Marcus looked up from his desk. His face changed when he saw her. He knew from her expression that everything was about to fall apart. "Marcus," Queen Elena said. Her voice was quiet but very strong. "We need to talk." The king stood up from his chair. His hands were shaking. "Elena, what is wrong? You look upset." Queen Elena held up the brown envelope. The old letter was inside. The king's eyes became very wide. He sat back down in his chair slowly. His face became the color of white paper. "I found this," Queen Elena said. She put the envelope on the desk in front of him. "I found in the old room, the room where you keep your private things. Tell me what this means, Marcus. Tell me the truth." King Marcus looked at the envelope for a long time. He did not want to open it. He did not want to read it, but he knew he had to. He picked up the envelope very slowly. His hands were trembling. The king opened the envelope and took out the letter. He read it. His eyes looked very sad and very tired. "How long?" Queen Elena asked. Her voice was shaking now. "How long have you known about this? How long have you kept this secret from me?" King Marcus did not answer immediately. He looked out the window at the palace gardens. The flowers were beautiful. The sun was shining. But everything felt dark and sad inside the study. 23 years, he said finally. His voice was very weak. "I have known about her for 23 years. Queen Elena felt like the floor was moving beneath her feet. She sat down in a chair because her legs were not strong anymore. 23 years, she repeated. "Marcus, we have been married for 20 years. That means you knew about her before we even got married. You married me and never told me that you had a daughter somewhere else." The king could not look at his wife. He looked down at his hands. "Where is she?" Queen Elena asked. "Where does she live? Who is her mother?" King Marcus took a deep breath. "She lives in the north," he said, "in a small town. Her mother she was someone I knew a long time ago, before I met you, before I became king. It was a mistake, Elena. It was a big mistake." "A mistake?" Queen Elena's voice was louder now. "Our entire marriage has been built on a lie, Marcus. Every day that we have been together, you have lied to me. You have hidden something this big from me." The king finally looked at his wife. There were tears in his eyes. "I was afraid," he said. "I was afraid that if people found out, they would not respect me. They would not think I was a good king. I was afraid that you would leave me. I was afraid of so many things." "So, you just kept lying?" Queen Elena stood up. She was very angry now. "For 20 years you kept lying? Do you know how that makes me feel? Do you understand that I feel like I did not even know you?" Outside the study, Sir Thomas was on guard in the hallway. He could hear the voices inside the room. He could hear that the queen was upset. He could hear that the king was upset. But Sir Thomas did not listen to the words. He knew that it was not his place to listen to private conversations. But he knew that something very serious was happening. Inside the study, Queen Elena was asking many questions. "Does anyone else know?" she asked. "Do your advisors know? Does Lord Frederick know?" "No," King Marcus said. No one knows. Only me. And now you. And the girl, Queen Elena said. Your daughter. What is her name? The king was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Her name is Sophie. She is 23 years old. She does not know who I am. Her mother told her that her father was a man who died a long time ago. She does not know that I am the king. Queen Elena felt confused. She sat back down in the chair. She tried to understand everything that she was hearing. Sophie, she repeated. Does she look like you? Yes, the king said softly. She looks very much like me. She has my eyes. She has my smile. Queen Elena thought about this. She thought about her own children. She thought about how much they looked like their father. And now there was another child, another daughter, a daughter that the king had never told anyone about. Why are you telling me this now? Queen Elena asked. Why didn't you tell me before I found the letter? King Marcus was quiet. He looked very sad and very ashamed. Because I was a coward, he said. Because I was afraid. And because I thought that if I never told anyone, then maybe it would go away. Maybe I could forget about it. But I cannot forget. Every single day, I thought about Sophie. Every single day. I wondered if she was okay. Every single day, I felt guilty. Queen Elena looked at her husband. She could see that he was telling the truth. She could see that he was suffering. But she was also suffering. Her heart was broken. I need to think, she said. I need time to understand this. I need to know what we're going to do. What do you mean? King Marcus asked, scared. I don't know yet, Queen Elena said. I don't know anything right now, Marcus. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't know if I can trust you anymore. I don't know what happens next. She walked to the door. Her hand was on the handle. One more thing, she said, without turning around. I want to meet her. I want to meet Sophie. And she needs to know the truth. She needs to know who you are. Then Queen Elena opened the door and walked out. She closed the door behind her. King Marcus sat alone in his study. The letter lay on his desk. His secret was not a secret anymore. Everything was about to change. 3 days had passed since Queen Elena found the letter. 3 days of silence in the palace. The king and queen had not spoken to each other very much. They slept in different rooms. They ate their meals at different times. The servants noticed that something was very wrong, but nobody asked questions. King Marcus sat in his private room. He was looking at a photograph. It was a picture of a young woman. Her name was Sophie. She had the king's eyes. She had the king's smile. This picture was taken 5 years ago. The king had not seen Sophie in person for many years. He only had her picture and her letters. There was a knock on the door. Come in, the king said. Queen Elena entered the room. She looked tired. Her eyes were red, but she also looked determined. I have made a decision, she said. We are going to bring Sophie here to the palace. We are going to tell her the truth, but we must be careful. We must plan this very carefully. King Marcus stood up. Elena, are you sure? This is very dangerous. People will ask questions. People will want to know who she is. I know, Queen Elena said. That is why we need help. I have someone in mind. Someone we can trust. The king looked confused. Who? Sir Thomas, Queen Elena said. The young guard. I have seen how loyal he is. I have seen how he cares about this palace and about you. He noticed something was wrong. He will help us. King Marcus was shocked. You want to tell the guard? Elena, this is... I know what it is, Queen Elena interrupted. It is risky. It is dangerous. But we cannot do this alone. We need someone strong. Someone we can trust. Someone who can keep a secret. Later that day, Sir Thomas was called to Queen Elena's private room. He felt very nervous. Guards were not usually called to the Queen's private room. He was afraid that he had done something wrong. When he entered the room, he saw both the King and the Queen sitting together. They looked very serious. Sir Thomas, Queen Elena said, we need to ask you something very important. Something that must stay secret. Can we trust you? Sir Thomas felt confused, but he said, Yes, Your Majesty. You can always trust me. I am loyal to the crown. King Marcus and Queen Elena looked at each other. Then the king spoke. "We need your help," the king said. "We need you to go on a secret journey. We need you to bring someone to the palace. Someone very important. Someone who must arrive without anyone knowing." Sir Thomas did not understand, but he said, "Of course, your majesty. I will do whatever you ask." Queen Elena explained the plan. She told Sir Thomas that he must travel north to a small town. He must find a young woman named Sophie. He must tell her that her father wants to meet her. He must bring her to the palace secretly, through the back roads and the hidden gates. Why must this be a secret? Sir Thomas asked. The king took a deep breath. "Because Sophie is my daughter," he said. "She does not know who I am. And if people in the kingdom find out about her before we have told her the truth, it could be very bad for everyone." Sir Thomas's eyes became very wide. He understood now. This was a very big secret. But he did not ask more questions. "I will do it," Sir Thomas said. "I will bring her safely to the palace." 2 days later, Sir Thomas was riding his horse north. He rode for many hours. The palace became smaller and smaller behind him. He rode through forests and past small villages. Finally, he came to the small town where Sophie lived. The town was quiet and peaceful. It was very different from the busy palace. Sir Thomas asked people where he could find Sophie. An old woman told him that Sophie worked in a bookshop in the town center. Sir Thomas went to the bookshop. He opened the door and walked inside. There were books everywhere, and behind the counter stood a young woman with dark hair and green eyes. She looked just like the king. "Hello," Sir Thomas said. "Are you Sophie?" The young woman looked up from her book. "Yes, I am," she said. "Can I help you?" Sir Thomas felt very nervous. He did not know what to say. How could he tell this girl that her father, the king, wanted to meet her? "My name is Sir Thomas," he said. "I have traveled a long way to find you. I have a message from someone very important." Sophie looked confused. "A message? From who?" "That is difficult to explain," Sir Thomas said. "But I need to ask you something. Has anyone ever told you about your father? Do you know who he was?" Sophie's face became sad. "My mother told me that my father died before I was born," she said. "Why are you asking me this?" Sir Thomas took a deep breath. "I need to tell you something," he said. "Something that might be hard to believe, but it is the truth. Your father is alive, and he wants to meet you." Sophie sat down in a chair. She looked very shocked. "That is not possible," she said. "My mother would told me. My father is dead. I have always known that my father is dead." "Your mother was not telling you the truth," Sir Thomas said gently. "Your father is a very important man. He had to keep you secret for a long time, but now he wants to meet you. He wants to know you. He sent me to bring you to him." Sophie was quiet for a long time. She looked at Sir Thomas very carefully. "Who is he?" she asked. "Who is my father?" Sir Thomas looked at the young woman. He saw the king's eyes looking back at him. He saw the king's face in hers. "He is the king," Sir Thomas said finally. "Your father is King Marcus, and the Queen, Elena, she wants you to come to the palace so that your father can tell you everything." Sophie stood up very quickly. The book she was holding fell to the floor. "The king," she said. "My father is the king? This is not real. This is not happening." "I know this is strange," Sir Thomas said. "I know this is confusing, but it is true. Your father made a mistake a long time ago, but now he wants to make things right. He wants you to know who he is, and he sent me to bring you to the palace safely." Sophie looked out the window. She looked at the small town that she had lived in her whole life. She thought about the life she knew. She thought about her mother, who had lied to her. "If I come with you," Sophie said slowly, "everything will change. My life will never be the same again." "That is true," Sir Thomas said. "But you deserve to know the truth. You deserve to know your father, and your father deserves to know you." Sophie looked at Sir Thomas. She could see that he was telling the truth. She could feel it in her heart. "Okay," she said. "I will go with you. Let me pack some things." 2 hours later, Sophie and Sir Thomas were riding south on their horses. The small town disappeared behind them. Sophie was going to meet her father for the first time. Her heart was beating very fast. Everything was about to change. The palace was dark when Sophie and Sir Thomas arrived. They came through the back gates, just as the Queen had planned. No one saw them. No one knew that the king's secret daughter had come to Ashford Palace. Sir Thomas led Sophie through the hidden hallways. These were old passages that not many people knew about. Sophie walked behind him, her heart beating very fast. She was nervous. She was scared. She was about to meet her father for the first time, a father who was the king of the entire kingdom. Sophie's hands were shaking. She had so many questions in her mind. Why had her mother lied to her? Why had her father given her away? What would he think when he saw her? Would he be disappointed? Would he want her to stay? Do not worry, Sir Thomas said gently. The king is very nervous too. He has waited many years to see you. Finally, they came to a small room. This was a private room where the king waited. Sir Thomas knocked on the door softly. Come in, a voice said from inside. Sir Thomas opened the door and stepped aside. Here is Sophie, he said. Then he quietly left the room, closing the door behind him. King Marcus stood up from his chair. He had been waiting for this moment for so long. But now that Sophie was standing in front of him, he did not know what to say. He looked at his daughter. He saw himself in her face. He saw his mother's eyes. He saw his own smile on her lips. Hello, the king said. His voice was very quiet. Hello, Sophie said. She also sounded very nervous. For a long moment, they just looked at each other, father and daughter, but they were strangers. I do not know what to say, King Marcus said. I have thought about this moment for so many years, but now I do not have the right words. Sophie sat down in a chair. She felt like her legs could not hold her anymore. The guard told me, she said. He told me that you are my father. He told me that you are the king. But I still do not believe it. This feels like a dream. This does not feel real. King Marcus sat down across from her. He looked very sad. I know, he said. I understand. You have just found out something that changes everything. And I am the one who caused this confusion. I am sorry, Sophie. I am very, very sorry. Why? Sophie asked. Her voice was shaking. Why did you give me away? Why did you not want me? The king's eyes filled with tears. I did want you, he said. I have always wanted you. But I was young and foolish. I was afraid. Your mother and I, we were not married. We were not supposed to be together. When you were born, I was not ready to be a father. I was about to become king. I did not know how to do both. So I made a terrible decision. You made a decision to leave me, Sophie said. She was angry now. You decided that being king was more important than being my father. Yes, King Marcus said, and that is the biggest mistake of my life. Every single day, I have thought about you. Every single day, I have wondered if you were okay. Every single day, I have wanted to tell you the truth. But I was a coward. I was afraid of what people would think. Sophie stood up and walked to a window. She looked out at the palace gardens. Everything was so big and so beautiful, but it felt cold to her. My mother lied to me my whole life, Sophie said. She told me my father died. She never told me that my father was alive. She never told me that my father was a king. She let me grow up thinking I was nobody special. And you let me grow up without knowing who I was. King Marcus could not answer. He knew that Sophie was right. He knew that he had hurt her deeply. The door opened suddenly. Queen Elena came in. She looked at Sophie with kind eyes. Sophie, the queen said, I know that this is very difficult. I know that you are angry, and you have the right to be angry. Your father has made mistakes, big mistakes, but he also loves you very much. He has always loved you. Sophie looked at the queen. This was the woman who had married her father. This was the woman who had been his real family. Did you know? Sophie asked. Did you know about me all this time? No, Queen Elena said. I did not know until recently. I was very upset when I found out, but I have had time to think. And I know that you deserve to know your father, and your father deserves to know you. Sophie felt tears come into her eyes. She was confused. She was angry, but she was also sad. I do not know if I can forgive him, she said. I do not know if I can forgive you both." "We understand," Queen Elena said. She came closer to Sophie. "We do not expect you to forgive us immediately, but we hope that one day you will. We hope that you will give us a chance to know you, to be your family." Sophie looked at her father. King Marcus was crying. He was looking at his daughter with such love and such sadness. "I brought you something," King Marcus said. He stood up and walked to a drawer. He took out a small box. "I have had this for a very long time." He opened the box. Inside was a beautiful necklace made of gold and diamonds. "This belonged to my mother," King Marcus said. "Your grandmother. She was a kind and strong woman. I always thought that if I ever had a daughter, I would give her this. I want you to have it." Sophie looked at the necklace. It was beautiful, but she did not take it. "I need time," she said. "I need to understand everything. I need to think about what this means for my life. I cannot just accept this and pretend that nothing has changed." "I understand," King Marcus said. He put the necklace back in the box. Queen Elena put her hand on Sophie's shoulder. "You can stay here," she said, "in the palace, in a room that is just for you. You can have as much time as you need to think about this." Sophie nodded slowly. "Okay," she said, "I will stay." Sir Thomas was waiting outside the door. When Sophie came out of the room, he could see that she had been crying, but he also saw that she was brave and strong. "Come," Sir Thomas said. "I will show you to your room." As Sophie walked to the palace hallways, she thought about her father. She thought about her mother. She thought about the life she had lived. And she thought about the new life that was starting now. Everything was different. Everything had changed. And she did not know if it would ever be the same again. 2 weeks had passed since Sophie came to the palace. 2 weeks of walking through the halls. 2 weeks of learning about her father. 2 weeks of slowly understanding the man behind the crown. At first, Sophie had stayed in her room most of the time. She would not speak to the king. She would not eat with him. She would not look at him when they passed in the hallways. But Queen Elena was patient. Every day, she would spend time with Sophie. They would read together. They would walk in the gardens together. They would talk about many things. Sir Thomas would also visit Sophie. He would tell her stories about the palace. He would make her laugh. He would listen to her feelings without judging her. Sophie grew to trust the young guard. He became like a friend to her in this strange new place. Slowly, things began to change. One day, Sophie asked to meet with her father. They sat in the same small room where they had first met. But this time, Sophie was not angry. This time, she was calm. "I have been thinking," Sophie said, "about everything, about my life, about you, about why you did what you did." King Marcus sat very still. He did not want to interrupt her. "I am still hurt," Sophie continued. "I am still sad about all those years I did not know you. All those years I thought my father was dead. But I understand now. I understand that you were young and scared, just like I am young and scared now." King Marcus had tears in his eyes. "I came to the palace angry," Sophie said. "I wanted you to feel the pain that I felt. But after these 2 weeks, I have realized something. You have already been feeling pain. Every single day for 23 years. So I have decided that I want to forgive you. Not because what you did was right, but because I do not want to carry this anger in my heart anymore." King Marcus stood up and walked to his daughter. He put his arms around her. For the first time, father and daughter held each other. "Thank you," King Marcus said. "Thank you for giving me another chance. Thank you for being so brave and so kind." Sophie cried in her father's arms. She cried for all the years they had lost. She cried for the life she could have had, but she also cried because she was happy. She was happy to finally have her father in her life. Queen Elena watched from the doorway. She was crying too, but happy tears. 3 days later, the king called a meeting. All the important people in the kingdom were invited. The advisors came. The nobles came. The ministers came. Everyone wanted to know why the king had called this meeting. There were many rumors. People whispered to each other about what would happen. King Marcus stood before his people. Queen Elena stood beside him. And next to the queen stood a young woman that nobody in the kingdom had ever seen before. "My people," King Marcus said in a loud, strong voice, "I have called you here today because I have something to tell you, something that I should have told you a long time ago. But I was afraid. I was ashamed. Today, I am not afraid anymore." The room became very quiet. Everyone was listening. "Many years ago," the king continued, "before I became your king, I made a mistake. I was with a woman that I was not married to. And from that love, a child was born, a beautiful daughter, a daughter that I have loved from the moment I found out about her, even though I could not be with her." The people in the room were shocked. They whispered to each other. No one had ever heard the king speak about something like this before. "I gave up my daughter because I was weak," King Marcus said, "because I did not know how to be both a king and a father. For 23 years, she lived far away, not knowing who I was. And for 23 years, I lived with the sadness of not knowing my daughter." King Marcus reached out and took Sophie's hand. "But a few weeks ago, I was given another chance," he said. "I found my daughter again, and I want to introduce her to all of you. I want you to meet Sophie, my daughter, and from today forward, she will live here in the palace as a member of the royal family. I hope that you, my people, can find it in your hearts to forgive me for the mistakes I have made, and I hope that you can welcome Sophie as a princess of our kingdom." Sophie stepped forward. She was nervous, but she was also brave. The people in the room looked at her. They could see that she looked like the king. They could see that she was his daughter. Slowly, one person began to clap. Then another person began to clap. And soon, the whole room was filled with applause. The people of the kingdom were accepting Sophie. Sophie looked at her father. She could see that he was proud. She could see that he was happy. And she was happy too. After the announcement, many things changed in the palace. Sophie began to learn about being a princess. She had teachers who taught her about the kingdom's laws and history. She learned about the people who lived in the villages and towns. She learned about what it meant to be part of a royal family. But Sophie also stayed true to herself. She did not forget where she came from. She visited the small town in the north sometimes. She helped people in the villages. She worked to make the kingdom a better place. King Marcus and Sophie spent more time together. He told her about his childhood. He told her about her grandmother. He told her about all the things he wished he could have shared with her over the years. And Sophie told her father about her life. She told him about her mother. She told him about growing up in the small town. She told him about the books she loved to read. One day, Sophie asked her father about Sir Thomas. "He was very kind to me," she said. "He helped me in my most difficult moment. He brought me to you. I want to thank him properly." King Marcus smiled. "I think Sir Thomas has grown fond of you," he said. "I think his feelings are more than just loyalty to his king." Sophie blushed. She realized that her father was right. Sir Thomas always seemed happy when he saw her. He always found reasons to talk to her. He always made sure she was safe and comfortable. A few months later, Sir Thomas asked Sophie if he could talk to her in the palace gardens. When they were alone, he said, "Sophie, I have wanted to tell you something for many weeks. I did not know if it was proper. I did not know if you would think I was being foolish. But I cannot keep this feeling in my heart anymore." "What do you want to tell me?" Sophie asked. "I love you," Sir Thomas said. "I fell in love with you the day I found you in the bookshop. I love your strength. I love your kindness. I love your beautiful heart. And I want to ask you, would you consider being my friend? Not just a friend, but a companion? A future wife, if you would have me?" Sophie looked at the young guard. She thought about everything he had done for her. She thought about how he had believed in her. She thought about how he had made her laugh when she was sad. "Yes," she said. "Yes, I will be your companion. Yes, I want to marry you." Sir Thomas took her hand and smiled. He was the happiest man in the world. 1 year later, Sophie and Sir Thomas were married in the palace. It was a beautiful ceremony. The whole kingdom celebrated. And King Marcus watched his daughter on the happiest day of her life, finally at peace. As the sun set over Ashford Palace, King Marcus stood with Queen Elena in the gardens. They watched Sophie and Sir Thomas walk together, holding hands. "We made the right decision," Queen Elena said, "bringing her here, telling the truth." "Yes," King Marcus said, "the secret that I kept for so long brought me pain. But the truth brought me happiness. It brought me my daughter." Queen Elena squeezed his hand. "And it brought us together as a true family," she said, "not built on lies, but built on love and forgiveness." King Marcus put his arm around his wife, and they watched the sunset together, knowing that everything was finally right. The crown's hidden secret was hidden no more, and in its place was something much more beautiful: love, family, and the beginning of a new life.